Chapter 41 Rescue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kakashi moved forward and soon arrived at a secret place in the Konoha forest. There is a burrow here that is very difficult to detect. Kakashi looked around and jumped down. After a moment, another person dressed as an ANBU wearing a cat mask jumped down. He was not tall and very young. Soon there was a rumbling sound below. Xiaomu walked to the entrance of the cave and touched his chin. The person who just went down seems to be Yamato. Oh, he seems to be called in now. Did Danzo still send him out to dig out Kakashi's eyes? I really don't know if Danzo is confident or if his brain is not working well, or are you superstitious about Yamato would release? Suddenly, Xiaomu noticed something and jumped onto the tree. Swish swish, the three roots reached the hole, two of them hid themselves and the other jumped. No wonder, Danzo still has backup, surveillance, and substitutes. If A fails to complete the task, there will be others. The mission is not everything. If the mission is to kill your companions, this mission is wrong. Kakashi who killed his companions deserves to be called that, but I don't want to kill Rin at all. I failed to protect my companions, so Lin died. I failed to protect her with this Chidori, failed to protect her. Please give up your mission. People with roots seem to be indoctrinated into giving up all emotions. It's not just feelings, give up names, past and future, and live just to complete the task. I'm your enemy. Even if you don't save me, it's natural. Xiaomu waited for a while, and the members of the root army who were following it came out first, pretending to be waiting for him at the door. After a while, it jumped out, it took out an eyeball soaked in a jar, and the two of them communicated with each other. Natsuki is very familiar with this plot. Kakashi has already conquered and they forged a fake Sharingan and went back to Danzo to deliver a report. Later, Kakashi and Sandation forced the armor out and changed his name to Tenzo. Later, after the Kazekage took back the battle, he used Yamato as the mission code name, and everyone became accustomed to calling him Yamato. How dare you lie? That a loud shout brought Xiaomu back from his thoughts. How come it was found to be fake here? Do it. The other three roots jumped out. Sure enough, Danzo-sama doesn't trust me. Keira murmured. A didn't resist at all and allowed one of them to tie him up. The other three jumped into the hole, probably to find Kakashi. Why did you lie? A's dead fish eyes showed no emotion, but asked a little depressed. I don't understand the meaning of this mission of killing my companions anymore, so I gave up the mission. B was furious. Danzo-sama, who is in charge of the roots, has the mission of everything. Brother Kakashi is also a Konoha ninja and a companion of Konoha. Is it really okay to kill his companion? B pushed A to the ground and said, remember, the only ones you can consider as your companions are us, who are both members of the root organization. A gritted his teeth and said, isn't Jen on Konoha's side? B's expression was like a pilgrim. The roots are invisible underground, silently supporting the organization of Konoha, a big tree. Just like a big tree is divided into the ground and the underground, the roots exist independently. The so-called root ninja is nameless, emotionless, without past or future, and only has tasks in his eyes. Dada suddenly struggled violently. No. I am a ninja of Konoha. I not only belong to the roots, but also have branches and leaves, a ninja of the entire Konoha. Konoha ninjas are all my companions. B pressed A with cold eyes. Who on earth confused you? I want to take you back and let Danzo-sama brainwash you again. Oh, of course Danzo confused him. A long voice came over. Who? B cried out in cold sweat. He didn't even know someone was approaching him. Before B could turn around, he felt a pain in his head and instantly lost consciousness and fell to the ground. Get up. Xiaomu said and untied Jiao. Who are you? A didn't know Natsuki, but he still recognized him as an Uchiha from the way he dressed. My name is Natsuki Uchiha. Natsuki said calmly, thinking about whether to go and save Kakashi, or simply let the root person dig out his Sharingan. Are you the deputy chief of Uchiha? Why did you save me? He had heard of Uchiha Natsuki, who had caused Danzo countless losses, and recently Danzo had lost his position as advisor elder. I just like to be against Danzo. It doesn't matter who you are. But. Xiaomu raised the corners of her lips, I do know you. Know what I know. Aren't you one of the 60 babies Danzo stole back then? What? I was shocked. Danzo-sama stole it. Natsuki nodded, yes, Danzo stole you out, and Orochimaru was responsible for conducting human experiments on you. It seems that there is only one left now. Dare said excitedly, do you have any evidence? Xiaomu raised his eyelids, I have my own intelligence channels, and I have no intention of proving it to you. Believe it or not. Danzo has been recruiting all kinds of people over the years to realize his ambitions under the pretext of protecting Konoha. This. Jia Exayan was shocked. Is this the person he was loyal to? Zitsizi. The chirping of thousands of birds came from the cave. Oops. Brother Kakashi. Only now did he belatedly remember that his brother Kakashi was still down there. He stood up and wanted to go to the cave entrance. Xiaomu stretched out his hand and said, no need to go, he will be up soon. As soon as he finished speaking, Kakashi jumped out of the hole. Natsuki saw at a glance that Kakashi's Sharingan was intact, and although he was injured, he was generally fine. TSK, he spat secretly, this Danzo is really useless at his core. 3 of them fought against 1 and they were killed in reverse. Isn't that fun? As soon as Kakashi jumped out of the cave, he saw Natsuki Uchiha standing at the entrance. He quickly put on a fighting stance. Master Natsuki, why are you here? It's a pity that Natsuki hasn't decided to directly remove Kakashi's Sharingan. You'd better go find the 3rd generation quickly, otherwise Danzo's people will be here soon. Natsuki did not answer Kakashi's words, but casually dropped a sentence and then left the scene in a flash. Brother Kakashi. Are you okay? A quickly came up to check Kakashi's condition. Kakashi staggered. It's okay, why is Natsuki here? They helped Kakashi up. It's not appropriate to stay here for a long time. Let's go find the 3rd Hokage first. We'll talk on the way. Chapter 42 Suppressing Danzo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hokage Building. It was Danzo who did it, that the 3rd generation was a little surprised. The incident of 60 babies caused an uproar in Konoha. It can be said that this was the biggest evidence of the final Orochi rebellion. At that time, Orochimaru's defection was equivalent to directly taking the responsibility for the crime. Unexpectedly, Natsuki actually said that Danzo kidnapped the baby, which reminded him of Danzo's behavior in recent years. It is very possible. And someone actually survived that experiment. Danzo also hid his heart is to be punished. Do you know how to escape? Dare nodded, formed a seal with his hands, and his arms turned into wooden sticks. The 3rd generation nodded with great satisfaction. Although your origin is a conspiracy, cultivating wooden ninjas is the long-cherished wish of Konoha village. Since you have wooden, you should not hide it at your roots. The Jinchuriki's child is already 5 years old. The sealing technique of wood release is becoming more and more important to the village. We in Konoha village need you. Are you willing to come to Konoha ANBU? Dare looked at Kakashi, and Kakashi gave him an encouraging look. I am in the ANBU now, making contributions to Konoha village. Dare nodded, Sandem-sama, I am willing to come to ANBU. A is my code name in the ANBU. You can call me. Kakashi tilted his head. Tenzo. Dare was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, yes, my name is Tianzang. Very good, then you will be an official member of the ANBU from now on. Now let Kakashi take you for a while and work hard to practice the wood escape sealing technique. Sandai ordered. Yes. There seemed to be light in Tianzang's dead fish eyes. I will negotiate with Danzo. You can go down first. Sandai waved Kakashi and Tenzo to go down. Yes. After the 2 left, Sandai picked up his pipe and took a puff of cigarette. Deputy Clan Natsuki should come up through the main entrance in the future. Misunderstandings can easily occur. Natsuki leaned out of the window. Does the third generation still like this gift? That the third Hokage was silent for a moment, but asked Natsuki another question. Were the 60 babies really kidnapped by Danzo? Xiaomu smiled and nodded. Is this important? That the third Hokage nodded. Xiaomu spread his hands and said, it will be replaced if it's fake. Sandai asked, what do you want? Natsuki stopped smiling. Sandem-sama, you know that our Uchiha clan does not have much conflict with Konoha, but it is helpless that Danzo always has our ideas. The third Hokage said, Danzo's positions have all been dismissed. He is now just a white body. Xiaomu shook his head. As long as his roots are not disbanded, his ambition will grow day by day. The third Hokage was silent for a moment. Even if I explicitly ask to disband the roots, it won't have much effect. Xiaomu knew that this was not all an excuse for the third generation. The root was composed of complex and huge personnel. Moreover, they have all been brainwashed by Danzo. Even if the third generation orders the removal of the root, they will secretly gather together. It's a little bit of loss. After all, he is thinking about us Uchiha every day. Natsuki said nonchalantly. The third Hokage weighed up, and recently found that Danzo's hidden ambitions were much greater than what he revealed, and it was time to rectify them. Although Uchiha just cheated Konoha, Konoha did not suffer any actual losses. On the contrary, it took a lot of advantages in the Kumogakure peace talks. Now they have sent the wooden ninja that Konoha urgently needs. To be honest, the third generation now loves and hates Uchiha Natsuki. Moreover, Shimu's strength is too high, so he can only hold on steady now. No problem, I will issue a notice to the whole village in the name of Hokage and disband Danzo roots. Shimu stood up and Shirshiran bent down. The third generation of the master is wise. We Uchiha will always support you. There are many things in the clan, so I will say goodbye first. Humph. Although he didn't recognize this action, Sandai could guess that it was probably a courtesy. This Shemu is really not upright. Sandai snorted when he saw Natsuki's leaving figure. The Kingdom of Water, the hidden mist village, A.O., who failed in his mission, led Zabuza and a group of elites back to the village. Zabuza, if you hadn't shown off, we would have sneaked into Konoha. A.O. was a little angry at Zabuza for showing off. Humph, I am responsible for everything I do. If the Great Elder is blamed, I will bear the responsibility. Zabuza looked irritated. A.O. said as if he could sneak into the Leaf Village if he didn't lose. You. A.O. was also very angry about this thorn, but Zabuza was also a talented person, and he was already close to reaching Jonin strength at a young age. Besides, now that the mission has failed, he has no other choice but to see what the Great Elder says. Aoya no longer lost his temper with Zabuza, and quickly led the others to the Great Elder's place to plead guilty. In recent years, the fourth generation Mizukage Goju Yagura found Isabutsu and implanted it into his body, becoming a Jinchuriki. In the past 2 years, he has gradually gained control over the tailed beasts perfectly and started drastic reforms. The power of the Great Elder also gradually decreased, and the village was obviously divided into 2 factions. One was the Mizukage faction headed by the 4th generation Goju Yagura, and the other faction was the Elder faction headed by the Great Elder. The Great Elder is proficient in intelligence and has brought countless opportunities to Kirigakure, but he is wary of the blood successor families and advocates weakening the blood successor families in the Kingdom of Water. Mizukage is very powerful personally, but he is conservative and advocates peaceful dealing with various blood families in the Kingdom of Water. After Chin reported the whole story of this operation, he knelt on the ground and waited for the Great Elder's words. The Great Elder looked cold, as if he had expected Chin's failure. In that case, throw Zabuza into the assassination team to train him. If you do, I'll punish you with 1 year of confinement. Thank you, Elder. This punishment was already very light. Even throwing Zabuza into the assassination team was considered a reward. Compared to Kirigakure's other criminal laws, 1 year of confinement is nothing. Ao and Zabuza were quickly taken down. The space behind the Great Elder twisted, and Obito wearing a mask appeared. The Great Elder bowed behind him and said, Master Madara, Chin has been controlled. Obito nodded and said in a simulated voice, the threat that Goju Yagura brings to us is getting bigger and bigger now. What are you going to do, sir? My people are arriving soon. We will lure Yagura out in 7 days. Carry out your will, Madara-sama. Kirigakure has too many elites now, and the blood successor family are all difficult to deal with, it cannot be used by me. Everyone must die. 7 days later, Obito took Pain Tendo and Konan to the entrance of Kirigakure village. When Yagura saw the three of them, he immediately took out his weapon. Who are you? The Kamui eyes in Obito's eyes rotated wildly, and the huge air flow instantly pressed Yagura to the spot. For a moment, Yagura lost consciousness. Chapter 43. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the gate of Konoha village, the white-haired, strong and burly Jiraiya looked up at the Uchiha clan land, which had been repaired by the third Hokage. There are no more Uchiha houses, only circles of walls, and the current Uchiha tribe has moved further outside. Uchiha Natsuki, Kaleidoscope. Jiraiya chewed on the name, and then walked into the Leaf Village, Uchiha clan. Natsuki-sama, the Hinata family just sent someone to deliver news. Uchiha Kame came over to report. Jiraiya has returned to the village. Oh. Xiaomu, who was checking the defensive detection barrier technique, straightened up. It's good to be friends with Hinata. If there is any trouble in the patrol team outside, they will send first-hand news to the Uchiha family. I understand. I'll leave the next inspection to you. Xiaomu has handed over the daily maintenance of the defensive detection barrier technique to Qiming. After Qiming, Iji, and Dottie became familiar with the defensive and detection barrier technique, Xiaomu selected a few talented people in the clan and trained them so that they could be rotated in the future. Natsuki was familiar with Jiraiya, and even admired him, however. His personal moral problems were too serious. The third generation called Jiraiya back, and Jiraiya would definitely go see Naruto. We can't let Jiraiya lead Naruto astray. After a few ups and downs, Shemo went to the guard team. After a short time, he came out of the guard and put the scroll in his hand into his body. Hokage building. Old man, I'm back. Jiraiya walked into the Hokage's office carelessly. The third Hokage had long received the news of Jiraiya's return. He was not surprised by Jiraiya's casual attitude. The third Hokage didn't even raise his head, and was still dealing with official duties. Is there any news about Orochimaru? Jiraiya also touched his nose when he saw that the third generation was ignoring him. After all, he was nominally chasing Orochimaru, but he gradually became lazy and went to various hot springs to collect materials. Sitting crookedly on the stool, he leaned back and said, No, I just know that he fled to the north. I don't know where he is. At this time, the third Hokage raised his head, picked up his pipe, lit it, and took a deep breath. He said a little tiredly, It's been a troubled time in Konoha. I'm back this time, so don't leave yet. Jiraiya also suppressed his smile as he looked at the aging face of the third Hokage. However, in just a few years, the third Hokage seemed to have aged 10 years. There is no trace of the heroic demeanor that he once had. Teacher, you are really old. Old man, why are you so old? Jiraiya's tone was inexplicable, a little sad, a little worried, and a little angry. Humph. When the third Hokage heard this, he burst out of anger and knocked his pipe on the table. It's not you who refuses to bear this burden, otherwise I would be like this. Hearing this, Jiraiya could only scratch his head in embarrassment. Old man, you know I don't like doing this. The third generation knew Jiraiya's character, so he did not discuss this topic again, but directly turned to Uchiha. Did you see the new Uchiha clan when you came back? Jiraiya nodded. Why did they move so far away? The third generation said helplessly. The oppression of Uchiha was too harsh in the past, and what Danzo did has made the entire Uchiha no longer want to have anything to do with our Konoha. The story that Danzo coveted Uchiha Shisui and gouged out his eyes, causing the entire Uchiha clan to almost rebel, finally spread throughout the ninja world after such a long time. Now, no matter how remote the country, the news has been received, and the entire Hokage family of Konoha has become the laughingstock of all ninja villages. Whether people in Konoha are on missions or doing business in other countries, someone will always make fun of this matter. Naturally, Jiraiya also received the news. Naturally, he couldn't stand Danzo either. Even before Orochimaru's defection, Jiraiya suspected that it was related to Danzo, but Danzo, this old fox, hid it too well. There was no way for Jiraiya to grasp anything, but fortunately, the third generation has ordered the roots to be removed. Then it wouldn't be outrageous to leave Uchiha alone outside the village now. The third generation spread his hands helplessly. There is nothing we can do now. Uchiha just gave us a wave of gifts, and he did not express his rebellion clearly. Uchiha even handed over the rights of the entire police force. On what grounds do you want to ask them to move back to Konoha village? Jiraiya scratched his head. He had never been good at this aspect of things. There's nothing I can do when I come back. The third generation shook his head. Uchiha now has 2 pairs of Mangekyo Sharingan, and no one in Konoha can stop him now. Kaleidoscope. As one of the 3 ninjas, Jiraiya knew the power of the kaleidoscope. Old man, you don't want me to weigh Uchiha Natsuki, do you? Jiraiya asked. The third Hokage said helplessly, do you want me to take action? Jiraiya could only respond helplessly, okay, I'll find an opportunity. I'm going out for a walk. After saying that, Sandai jumped out of the window without waiting for Sandai's reaction. The third Hokage picked up his pipe and took a puff. I sat down at my desk again and continued to work. Ah! There is something perverted. There were screams of surprise, and countless women ran out of the hot spring hotel. Jiraiya, who said he was going out for a walk, instead came to the hot spring hotel and peeked into the women's bathroom to find material for his book. Unexpectedly, there was someone from the Hinata family inside, and they were discovered immediately. Jiraiya had no choice but to run away immediately. News of the voyeur at the hot spring hotel quickly spread. The Hyuga police patrolling nearby arrived quickly and saw a man wearing red clothes and white hair being chased by a group of people. Kill this peeping Tom. Kill him. Hyuga Yudo, who was on patrol, saw his sister among the crowd. He felt something bad and quickly caught up with her. Aiko, what's going on? Hinata Aiko turned around and saw that it was her brother, who was still on his feet and explaining. I just went to the hot spring to relax with my friends. Then I heard a burst of obscene laughter. I opened my eyes and saw this man peeping at us taking a bath at the foot of the wall. Hyuga Yudo is furious. How long has it been since Konoha village saw such a pervert? Do you think our police force doesn't exist? Then he started to catch up, but the people in front were very quick, and after a few ups and downs, they left the ordinary people behind. Behind him were only Hinata Yugi, his sister, and his teammates. Several people were flying over the roof, watching the figures in front of them getting further and further away. At this time, several members of the Roots suddenly stopped in front of them. Several people watched the peeping Tom go away. Chapter 44 Jiraiya is in trouble, Part. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What do you mean, Kanzuya Nakamura? Hyuga Yudo was furious. His own sister was spied on. As a member of the security force, it was a great shame and humiliation for someone to escape. The person who came was none other than Nakamura Kanzuya, whom Danzo originally wanted to insert into the police force so he could seize power. Unexpectedly, Uchiha Fugaku only arranged for them to patrol. Later, Hyuga Hizashi came to power and did not give him any chance. They were also kept firmly in the patrol position, so they couldn't do anything. Even Danzo often blamed him. Now that he can cause some trouble for the Hinata family, why not do it? Yugo Hyuga, this is our base patrol position. Everything here is under the control of our team. Your Roots have been disbanded by Hokage-sama. What kind of Roots do you still call yourself? Hyuga Yudo said angrily. After hearing this, the 3 members of the Roots gathered around him with cold expressions on their faces. Hyuga Yudo had a cold face. I think you let the peeping Tom go on purpose. I'm going to complain to Hizashi-sama about you. Nakamura Kanzuya showed a provocative look on his face. You can go, just go ahead. Do you know who the person you just chased is? Hyuga Yudo frowned. No one can be a voyeur. Nakamura Kanzuya laughed loudly. That man is Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin. Let me see what your Hyuga family can do with him. Hinata Yudo's expression was suffocated, with a look of disbelief on his face. What did you say? That's Lord Jiraiya. His 3 views collapsed. He only knew that Jiraiya was the hero of Konoha village and one of the legendary 3 ninjas. I didn't expect Jiraiya's personal ethics to be so corrupt, and he was actually a voyeur. Nakamura Kanzuya and the others laughed loudly, and when they saw Hinata deflated, they let out a bad breath. Hinata and the others dared not speak out in anger, so Hinata Aiko had no choice but to swallow her breath. At this moment, a figure appeared behind Shimura Kanzuya and kicked him off the roof. He grabbed the remaining 2 roots with both hands and slammed them together. After looking at the last person fell to the ground. As long as it's a public security issue, it falls under the control of the police force. Anyone who commits a crime will be treated the same. Natsuki looked at Nakamura Kanzuya coldly. As for you, I think your position has come to an end. You have been dismissed by the Hokage, and you are still so crazy. It's Natsuki-sama. Hinata and the others were overjoyed. Uchiha Natsuki was fearless. Nakamura Kanzuya rolled on the ground a few times and coughed up a mouthful of blood. Uchiha Natsuki, you are not a member of the security team. It is not your turn to take care of this matter. Xiaomu chuckled. I knew someone would interfere, so I did this specially. As he spoke, he took out a scroll from his body. When he opened it, it read clearly, appointed Natsuki Uchiha as patrol captain of the police force. Nakamura Kanzuya breathed heavily. Even if you are from the patrol team, there is still nothing you can do. The opponent is Jiraiya, one of the 3 ninjas. Several members of the Hyuga family felt a little sad and angry when they heard this. Yes, Jiraiya, what are they fighting for? Xiaomu grinned. Xiaomu, specialize in treating all kinds of dissatisfaction. If you don't believe me, let's give it a try. He stretched out his hand and waved to Hyuga Yuto and the others. Where did Jiraiya go? Hyuga Yuto and the others were shocked. Uchiha Natsuki was a master who was not afraid of anything. Is it possible? If it is Uchiha Natsuki, several people quickly replied, Jiraiya went that way. A few people pointed in the direction, and Xiaomu took a look. Good guy, there seems to be a hot spring hotel over there. Dogs can't stop eating shit. When escaping, don't forget to choose the route next time. Okay, I understand. Do you want to follow or go back to your own jurisdiction? Hinata Aiko and Yuto looked at each other and said, Sir, we want to follow. Natsuki nodded and waved to call the other Hyuga family members back to work. Taking Aiko and Yangto along, we headed straight and seemed to already know our destination. Hinata and the 2 were confused, but they didn't ask, they just followed Natsuki. After a few minutes, Xiaomu stopped and saw a wretched white-haired man peeping at the foot of the wall, which was the women's bathhouse. Hey, he. Jiraiya let out a lewd laugh and took out his notebook to take notes. Natsuki took out the shuriken and threw it out. Jiraiya was shocked. Ninja, Needle Jizo. His long white hair quickly grew and hardened, wrapping him in it. Ding. Ding, there were 2 crisp sounds, and the shuriken was bounced away. Jiraiya was very angry. Was he taking his own life? You bastard, what are you doing? Xiaomu shouted, bold maniac, dare to peek into the women's bath in broad daylight. Seeking death. The sound was like thunder, wandering over the entire Konoha business district. Many people came over one after another, and there was a lot of excitement in the women's bath. Not good. Jiraiya saw many people gathering and hurriedly tried to escape, but Natsuki kept the road blocked from beginning to end. Jiraiya was so angry. How many people would come to see him if this continued? Then he immediately got into hands with Xiaomu. Jiraiya punched and kicked with great force. Jiraiya held back his hands at first, but when he found that there was no way to defeat the opponent, he also attacked with all his strength, but Natsuki kept on defending rather than attacking, dragging Jiraiya in place. Seeing more and more people in the security team and more villagers gathering together, Jiraiya couldn't hold on any longer. He had even seen the Umbu of Hokage hiding in the corner, but he only recognized his identity and did not show up. He stopped in a hurry and said to Natsuki, Hey, brat, let me go, I'm Jiraiya. Unexpectedly, Xiaomu didn't accept this trick at all. When he saw more and more people surrounding him, he shouted directly. All the Konoha villagers are watching. The person in front of me is a voyeur peeking into the women's bath. And his identity is none other than Jiraiya, one of the famous sannin in our village. What? Master Jiraiya is actually a voyeur? Huh? Is this Lord Jiraiya? Ah, how disgusting, Jiraiya is such a person. Jiraiya's expression suddenly changed. The Uchiha clan members in front of him actually knew him, and all this was planned. As a big shot in Konoha village and the disciple of the third Hokage, he does dirty and despicable things. As the patrol leader of the police force, I cannot arrest the other party because of his identity. Natsuki looked heartbroken. I can only remind everyone that you must keep your eyes open when you go to bathe outside. Wherever there is Jiraiya, you must take a detour, otherwise your wife, daughter, and sister will all be seen by him. There were more and more people watching, and whispers could be heard. That's disgusting. I will definitely take a detour when I see Jiraiya in the future. You must not bathe in a place where Jiraiya is, otherwise you will definitely be seen. The third Hokage's disciple has such a moral character, it's really disgusting. The police force is so miserable. When we encounter such a big shot, we can't catch him. This is how we can stop him. Jiraiya's face turned green and white. In the past, when he went to the bathroom to peek, even if he was discovered, others would only chase him. Ordinary people can't catch up with him, and those who can catch up with him are all because of his identity, and in the end they all get lost. Now I didn't expect to encounter a tough situation and actually execute him in public. He suspected this was a conspiracy. Who the hell are you, brat, and why are you targeting me deliberately? Jiraiya looked annoyed in embarrassment. Me. Xia Mu took out the commission scroll. I am Uchiha Natsuki, the patrol captain of the police force, who is responsible for public security issues. Because you are the apprentice of the third Hokage, there is no way to arrest you, so I can only remind women not to be harmed by you. You are Natsuki Uchiha. Jiraiya was shocked. He finally understood why the third generation said this person was difficult. Now he couldn't resist it at all, couldn't take action, and couldn't escape. Natsuki continued to fire at Jiraiya. What does it mean to target deliberately? Isn't it true that you were peeping? Hinata Aiko. Come and bear witness. Hinata Aiko felt a surge of blood. Yes. I'm here to testify. Just now when we were taking a shower, this Jiraiya was peeping outside the wall. After saying that, Hinata Aiko felt guilty. Is it really okay for a little person like herself to offend Jiraiya? You. Me. Jiraiya was speechless now. Natsuki said in a timely manner, everyone, please see clearly. Our victim is called Hinata Aiko. Today she has the courage to stand up and identify the important figures in the village. If something happens to Hinata's beloved son one day, it will be Jiraiya's fault. Aiko, don't be afraid. The eyes of all the villagers are sharp. Your safety is guaranteed by our security team. Even if the third generation wants to criticize you harshly, our security team will definitely be on your side. The villagers nearby were all angry. The Sannin was just a pervert, and he actually took advantage of his identity to retaliate arbitrarily. Chapter 45 Jiraiya is in trouble, Part. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Natsuki's purpose was of course more than that, and his muzzle was aimed at the surrounding ANBU. All villagers, please look out and see that there are ANBU all around you. Umbu felt a chill in his heart. Why did it happen to us? Why don't ANBU care about someone peeping? It's because Jiraiya is a big shot. They can't deal with Jiraiya, they can only deal with the victims. As long as no one comes forward to provide evidence, Jiraiya will always be able to get away with it. Jiraiya couldn't hold it any longer. What kind of mouth was he talking about? He was so poisonous, so he quickly forced his way outside, but without the ability to use ninjutsu. Although his physical skills were stronger than Natsuki's, he was unable to break through Natsuki's full defense. Natsuki defended passively while continuing to incite. Look, everyone, Jiraiya, the criminal, is about to escape. If he escapes this time, the matter will be settled. Why can he get away with it now? Someone is just conniving at it. The Umbu have been here for so long. Didn't anyone tell the third Hokage? Of course not. That's because the third Hokage shielded his peeping Tom apprentice. Xiaomu's mouth was like a big trumpet, and while he was talking outside, he was defensive at the same time. He was still screaming, "Oh, Jiraiya hit someone." The third Hokage allowed his apprentice to spy. All the villagers along the way were talking a lot, and the public resentment was boiling visible to the naked eye. Jiraiya is getting more and more anxious, and his attacks are getting harder and harder. Stop. Followed by an old voice, Jiraiya stopped abruptly. But Natsuki's drama is not over yet. Villages of Konoha, remember, be careful with Jiraiya. Pfft. Xiaomu also vomited a mouthful of blood, for this Uchiha Natsuki who stood up for the villagers all looked at her with care and distress. Look how dedicated this member of the Uchiha Guard is. For ordinary people like us, they have suffered so much and suffered so much. The third Hokage jumped into the field at this time. Jiraiya looked at him with an embarrassed face, and his toenails almost dug his clogs into a wooden sculpture. His eyes indicated that he shouldn't have come. The third Hokage rolled his eyes. He shouldn't have come. If he didn't come, his status as the third Hokage would be ruined. This Natsuki always did strange things, catching him off guard every time. 2 days ago, he said that he would always support him, but as soon as Jiraiya came back, he poured dirty water on him. Natsuki! What the hell are you doing? How did you become the captain of the security team? Natsuki wiped the blood from biting her cheek. Only a few of our Uchiha people are in the guard force. Today I want to see the usual work of the guard force. In order not to interfere with my colleagues' law enforcement, I specifically applied for a position in the police force. Seeing that the third generation had come down, Xiaomu thought it was almost done, and then said loudly. Since the third Hokage has personally come to protect your apprentice Jiraiya, then I, the captain of the security team, can't do anything. The third Hokage's face turned dark. When did he say he would protect Jiraiya? He had already seen the villagers around him, and they all looked at him with something wrong. The third generation said quickly, Natsuki, what are you talking about? I have no intention of protecting Jiraiya. Oh. Natsuki said doubtfully, then, Lord 3 generations, why did it take so long for the ANBU to find out about this matter before you arrived? Didn't you mean to let Jiraiya go? The third generation really wanted to drag Natsuki out and chop him down, but he still said it when he knew it. Not at all. I was just taking care of business and was a little slow. Ahem, Sandai cleared his throat again. Now that things had reached this point, he could only sacrifice Jiraiya. Although Jiraiya is my apprentice, this is the first day I know that Jiraiya has this hobby. Since he did something wrong, he should be punished as he deserves. Jiraiya's face was dejected. He never thought that he would have such a disgraced day. It was just for peeping, and his punishment wasn't very severe, but it was very humiliating. It was one thing for him to be thick-skinned, but it was quite another to be publicly executed in front of so many villagers. Xiaomu loudly said, in this case, it is a misunderstanding for the third generation. Someone on our scene corrected Jiraiya today. Can the third generation guarantee that the witness will not be retaliated against? Jiraiya gritted his teeth and glanced at Natsuki. Although he was lustful, he would never engage in revenge. This Natsuki was really, Sandai's hand hidden in his sleeve also squeezed it hard. Natsuki, don't worry. I guarantee the Hokage's reputation that the witness will not suffer any harm and will receive a compensation. Xiaomu was very satisfied at this time and told the people around him. Look, everyone, our Hokage is still very reasonable. Even if my apprentice made a mistake, he still did not protect him, but also protected and compensated the witnesses. Hokage-sama is so wise. Hokage-sama is so wise. Hokage-sama is so kind. Lord Hokage, you must kill your relatives out of justice. With the praises all around, the third Hokage could only maintain the fake smile on his face and nod in greetings. At this time, Natsuki poked Hinata Yuto and asked in a low voice, Hey, Yuto, what should be the punishment for peeping? Hyuga Yuto was dumbfounded by Natsuki's operation. Seeing that no one paid attention to him, he quietly said to Natsuki. Natsuki-sama, if you peeped, you will be detained for 15 days and you will have to apologize publicly. Natsuki nodded and cleared his throat. Ahem, thank you for your support, Hokage-sama. Today, Jiraiya peeped into the women's bath. According to the public security regulations and punishment law, Jiraiya needs to be detained for 15 days. Natsuki walked up to Jiraiya and guided him with his hand. Jiraiya-sama, please. Jiraiya looked back at the third Hokage's expression as if he was in trouble, and could only follow Natsuki out of the crowd in silence. Unexpectedly, Natsuki didn't take more than 2 steps before turning around and handing Jiraiya to Hyuga Yudo. Hinata Yudo was shocked and at a loss as the opponent was Jiraiya. Seeing Hinata Yudo's timid look, Natsuki whispered to Yudo. Don't worry, Jiraiya doesn't dare to run away, and you performed very well today. Go back and report to Hisashi, and Hisashi will reward you. Hyuga Yudo received Natsuki's assurance and felt relieved. He nodded vigorously and led Jiraiya towards the guard station. At this time, the third Hokage, who was deeply involved in the whirlpool of the villagers, just stood there and emphasized repeatedly, he had no idea that Jiraiya was doing such a thing, and he never protected Jiraiya. Natsuki said loudly, the third Hokage was all excited at this moment. What kind of monster would Natsuki be? Natsuki continued, Sir, the detention center of our police force is very crude. I guess I can't lock Jiraiya in. Maybe Jiraiya will run away on his own in 2 days. Do you think? The eyes of the surrounding villagers were filled with suspicion again. Yes, the police detention center cannot hold such a big shot. If the other party secretly escapes from prison, no one will know about it. The third Hokage pulled his face with a fake smile. Natsuki, don't worry, Jiraiya will definitely accept his punishment and will never escape from prison. If he escapes from prison, as the Hokage, I will directly label Jiraiya as a traitorous ninja. Please supervise him at all times. Oh. The surrounding villagers were very satisfied with Sandai's words. Various voices of support and celebration were made. There are still many official matters that need to be dealt with in the village, so I'll take the first step. The third Hokage squeezed out of the crowd in a somewhat embarrassed manner. Once again, Shemu was listed as the most difficult person to deal with, bar none. Natsuki ignored the third Hokage, but looked at Jiraiya who was publicly executed by him, and Jiraiya just turned around. Brat. When I come out, see if I don't take care of you. Jiraiya. How can you be Naruto's teacher when your reputation is so bad? Chapter 46 Vaccination, Part. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the police detention room, the third generation looked at Jiraiya through the railing, and was furious, asked Jiraiya to come back and balance Uchiha. As a result, Jiraiya's reputation was ruined even before it was released. Jiraiya, what are you doing? How can you still gain a foothold in Konoha now? Jiraiya panicked and said, how did I know I would meet Natsuki Uchiha this time? No one outside can catch me. Sandai slapped his hand on the railing and made a muffled sound. I don't care what you do outside. Just put away these bad habits for me in Konoha. Jiraiya muttered, don't you also use the telescope technique to peek? Ahem. The third generation coughed twice very seriously, interrupting Jiraiya's words. Looking back, I saw Anbu standing guard from a distance. Sandai picked up his pipe and pretended to be serious. Anyway, you stay here for 15 days and wait until the storm is over. If you run out early, it will be very troublesome, so I feel wrong to you. Jiraiya had also heard about Natsuki's extortion before, and knew that this time he would be jailed. Then old man, get me some wine. Understood. The third Hokage responded as he walked outside. After the third generation left, Natsuki came to the guard team, but he didn't go to see Jiraiya, he came to see Hisashi. When Fugaku was the captain of the garrison, he would sometimes go on patrol at the scene. If he was on a daily basis, he would stay in the garrison every day and catch up on various matters. When Natsuki arrived, Hyuga Yudo just finished his report and exited. After seeing this, Natsuki patted Hyuga Yudo on the shoulder. The young man is good. Hinata Yudo scratched his head in embarrassment. Lord Natsuki, I'll go down first. Xiaomu rolled his eyes. Wait a moment. Then Fu Air said something in Hyuga Yudo's ear. Hyuga Yudo nodded repeatedly. Don't worry, Natsuki-sama, leave it to me. Natsuki waved his hand and went in without knocking on the door. I saw Hizashi looking intently at the report document in his hand. Hizashi, quite decent. Hizashi raised his head and saw Natsuki, and smiled. When they met for the first time, Natsuki spoke of Hizashi-sama in a respectful tone. However, after getting familiar with each other, Natsuki's unruly style showed up and he was not honest with anyone, but Hizashi doesn't mind either, and Hinata and Uchiha are currently in their honeymoon period. As for the previous incident of Kyomogakure, it was thanks to Natsuki's intervention. Otherwise, Rizu would have beaten the other party to death. The Hyuga family is really going to be in big trouble. He might even lose his brother's life or his own life. Xiaomu, you are really in the limelight today. Natsuki waved his hand. It was all an accident. Who knew that Jiraiya would do such a thing when he came back? I also stood up for the common people. That I believe you, Natsuki, you are a very bad Uchiha. Isn't it just a matter of coming to me today to ask for a commission scroll? Isn't it just to trouble Jiraiya? There is a lot of tidbits about Jiraiya. He travels and spends a lot of time. It's really a lot of fun. Everywhere you go, finding a lady and drinking are a must, and wherever he goes, he will be blacklisted by the bathhouse there. And Jiraiya is also the author of novels and comics. The novel is a serious novel, and whether the comic is serious or not is unclear, but determines the head, and Hizashi had previously treated Jiraiya's love affairs as a joke. Now, as the captain of the security team, Hizashi still needs to intervene against Jiraiya's behavior. You said that for a big shot like you, it's okay to mess around outside the village. It's a bit too much for you to do this when you return to the village. The rabbit is not eating the grass next to the nest, and among the victims this time were members of the Hyuga clan. If Hizashi showed up, it would be really difficult to handle. After all, Jiraiya's identity lies there, but things were different when Natsuki took action. It probably cast a shadow on Jiraiya. Toad Sage Jiraiya, a disciple of the third Hokage and one of the three ninjas, was caught peeping in a women's bathroom and was publicly executed. While thinking, Hizashi said, Xiaomu, why did you do this time? Natsuki shook his head. No reason, just seeing this kind of behavior makes me unhappy, even if he is Jiraiya. Hizashi looked at Natsuki deeply and said, oh, non-committal. In addition, Nakamura Kanzuya in the roots was caught by me today. He actually obstructed my law enforcement. You can use this excuse to get rid of him. The remaining roots are leaderless and cannot make any waves. Hizashi nodded with deep understanding. Kanzuya Nakamura from before was jumping up and down, trying to connect with the security team. As a result, the structure of the Hyuga clan and branch families resulted in the structure of the branch families being like a monolith, making it impossible for outsiders to win over or instigate rebellion. But it's not a problem for such a person to jump up and down like this. If we catch him this time, we might as well fire him. Natsuki took out the appointment scroll. Captain Hizashi, I think the police force is fun, but I am very busy, so I will resign first. Hizashi was a bit dumbfounded. Who didn't know that you, Xiaomu, were here to play with tickets? Okay, leave it alone. Many people probably speculated that Natsuki's purpose was to damage the reputation of the Hokage family, but only Natsuki himself knew that he just didn't want Naruto to be led astray. Those kinds of behaviors that take vulgarity as fun are very stupid in Natsuki's opinion. Natsuki walked all the way to the Konoha ninja school. Along the way, he heard many people talking about Jiraiya's arrest. When Natsuki arrived at the ninja school, he found that school had been out for a while. The security team next to him happened to be from the Hyuga clan. Where did Sasuke go? The members of the Hyuga clan quickly saluted. Back to Natsuki-sama. Sasuke and Naruto just went in the direction of 8th Street. Okay, go ahead and get busy. Xiaomu searched all the way to 8th Street and found two boys. The two of them were eating a bunch of octopus balls in one hand. Naruto now had more money to live on, so naturally he no longer felt inferior and was in good spirits. Naruto, Sasuke, you are here. Naruto heard a familiar voice. He raised his head in surprise. Senior Natsuki. Sasuke called out politely, teacher. Natsuki tapped Sasuke's forehead with his hand. I heard that you ranked first in this week's test again. You are worthy of being a child of my Uchiha family. Sasuke is awesome. When Sasuke heard such a straightforward compliment, he was a little proud and a little embarrassed. He said arrogantly with a sullen face, as a teacher's disciple, naturally I can't embarrass the teacher. Naruto looked at Sasuke with some envy. Sasuke had told him before that he had become a disciple of Natsuki-senpai. He used to be a loner, but now although he has many friends, he still has very few elders who are close to him. Chapter 47 Vaccination, Part. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Teacher, did you come to pick me up specially? Sasuke asked. His fair and tender face was rounder, which was a bit different from the handsome Sasuke in the future. Ha, look how proud you are. I'm here to pick you two up today. That I heard that Xiaomu came to pick them up specially. Naruto was also very happy, although Xiaomu was very kind to him. Xiaomu didn't have much time to see him. Naruto was so happy just to pick him up from school. This child had been so in need of love before. Damn, the third Hokage, Natsuki became even more determined. Such a simple child must not get into bad habits. Let's go. Xiaomu walked forward and said to the two little ones, have you heard any rumors today? Naruto scratched his head. Many classmates said that Lord Jiraiya was arrested. Natsuki caught Jiraiya at noon. Unexpectedly, the news spread throughout the ninja school. Who is Jiraiya? Naruto asked curiously. They had just entered the ninja school and had not learned yet. Sasuke couldn't help but said, Jiraiya is the disciple of Lord 3, one of the legendary 3 ninjas. The hero of Konoha. Hero? Naruto looked confused. Since he is a hero, why was he arrested? Xiaomu said, he was caught because he went to peek into the women's bath. Sasuke had a look of disgust on his face. Why do you want to peek into the women's bath? Naruto, who had no one to teach him since childhood, was like a blank sheet of paper. Natsuki rubbed Naruto's hair. In the past, Naruto had no one to teach him how to dress, and he had no time to care about it. Now Naruto seems to be gradually understanding the importance of image, so he keeps his hair very smooth. If the hair on both sides is longer, he will be like his father Namake's Minato. You are still young now, so I don't know why it doesn't matter, but you have to know that this kind of voyeuristic behavior on women is wrong. Oh. Naruto seemed to understand. Xiaomu said, for example, do you have any female classmates who you have a good relationship with? Naruto nodded, clasped his fingers and said, well, Hinata, Sakura, and Ino are all our friends. Then what would you think if someone peeked at them while they were taking a shower? Naruto frowned and thought for a moment, then tapped his right hand in the palm of his hand. I will be very unhappy. I may even want to hit someone. Xiaomu nodded with satisfaction, so, never do this kind of thing. People who do this kind of thing have low moral character. No matter how powerful he is, one of the 3 ninjas is just a filthy lunatic who does such a thing. Naruto patted his chest and said, Natsuki-senpai, don't worry, I will never do such a thing. Natsuki turned his head and looked at Sasuke. Where are you, Sasuke? Sasuke turned his head proudly. I won't do such boring things, I am an Uchiha. Xiaomu rolled his eyes. I hope you can spend a little. Unlike in the previous life, if someone hadn't forced it on you, you would have been widowed for the rest of your life. Naruto, I heard that your grades are not very good. Natsuki asked. Naruto was a little embarrassed. Natsuki-senpai, things in school are a bit difficult, I learn very slowly. Natsuki did not blame him. After all, Naruto was just a wild boy before, and it was unrealistic for him to become a top student immediately. It doesn't matter, Naruto. If you don't get good grades in culture, study slowly. You have to work hard to get good grades in other subjects. You can't just be a loser in the future. Naruto nodded vigorously. Senior Natsuki, don't worry, I will definitely work hard. When Sasuke saw Natsuki caring about Naruto, he suddenly felt jealous. He shook his head and suppressed the feeling. Seeing Naruto's happy face, Sasuke also smiled. In the next time, Natsuki was concerned about Naruto's living conditions and listened to what Sasuke learned in school. The three of them were talking and laughing together, but the ANBU who was watching next to them was very anxious. Every time Natsuki came to see Naruto, they were all terrified, fearing that Natsuki might instill something strange into Naruto. After all, this morning, Jiraiya was exhausted at Natsuki's place. They were just small ANBU, trembling, ignoring the thoughts of the ANBU around him. Natsuki just regarded himself as an elder and cared about some of Naruto's living conditions, and then sent Naruto home without doing anything else. It also made the accompanying ANBU members breathe a sigh of relief. After the ANBU members retreated, Natsuki took out an envelope while walking towards the clan with Sasuke. "This is Itachi's letter to you." Ah! Sasuke was full of joy. It was actually a letter from his brother. Although he knew that he would be able to see his brother again in the future, Sasuke still felt uncomfortable with Itachi's departure. Sasuke quickly opened the envelope. He did not open it behind Natsuki's back, but in front of Natsuki. There were not many words on it, but Sasuke read it back and forth several times before carefully putting the letter into the envelope. Natsuki chuckled. Sasuke is really cute now. What did Itachi say? That there was an uncontrollable smile on Sasuke's face. "Brother told me to listen to you and study hard in school. I can't embarrass Uchiha." This Itachi really seemed to be coaxing a child. When he was as old as Sasuke, he was already on the battlefield. Sasuke put the letter away and followed Natsuki back to the clan. However, Fugaku went out for something, and it seemed that some of the compensation given by Kumogakure was used. Before Natsuki was about to leave, he asked Sasuke a question. "Sasuke, what do you think of Naruto?" Sasuke was a little confused. "What is it like?" Xiaomu touched his chin. "How are others?" Sasuke muttered that he was an idiot, but in front of Natsuki, he still said honestly, "Naruto is a very nice person, and he is also very enthusiastic towards others, but he is simple-minded. Some people secretly scold him behind his back, but he never cares about it." Natsuki nodded. What Sasuke said was true. Naruto, at best, was open-minded and cheerful, but at worst, he was short-minded. But growing up in that kind of environment since childhood, it is already very difficult not to become mentally gloomy. Seeing that Sasuke had no prejudice against Naruto, Natsuki asked again, "What do you think of his strength?" Sasuke was a little dumbfounded. "Strength? What strength does Naruto have? He didn't pass the cultural class at all. He definitely can't beat me in a fight." Sasuke was quite proud after talking about it. The little face is full of expressions of "please praise me quickly." Natsuki smiled. "Sasuke, don't be complacent. You are better than Naruto now. That's because you had parents around you when you were young. They could teach you. Naruto has no one around him to teach you, so he is not as good as you now." Sasuke raised his hand and said, "Even if Naruto has someone to teach him, he will definitely not be as good as me. I am an Uchiha." Xiaomu nodded. "How about we make a bet?" Sasuke asked. "What are you betting on, teacher?" "If Naruto ever beats you in the ninja school from now on, then you will be considered a loser. If you are always better than Naruto in the next school, then you will win." Sasuke was full of confidence. "Teacher, don't worry, you will lose." Xiaomu chuckled. "Okay, if you win, the teacher will give you a treasure. If you lose." Before he spoke, Sasuke said confidently, "Don't worry, teacher, I won't lose." Xiaomu shook his head. "It's a good thing that you are confident, but you must not be arrogant. If you lose, the teacher will ask you to do something." Sasuke nodded. "Teacher, what is it?" "Well, I haven't thought about it yet." Chapter 48 Flyers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Route Headquarters. What do you do for food? Danzo cursed Nakamura Kanzuya who was kneeling below him. "Didn't I tell you not to let them take advantage of you? Now a few of you have been fired. What big things could anyone else accomplish?" Nakamura Kanzuya's expression was ugly. My subordinate wanted to cause some trouble for Hinata, but unexpectedly, an Uchiha Natsuki suddenly appeared. This incident, my subordinates believe that Uchiha Natsuki was premeditated. Danzo hit the ground hard with his cane. "Do you still need to tell me? In the entire Konoha village, there is no discussion that Jiraiya is a voyeur. Even Sarutobi's reputation has been reduced a lot. People say that the upper beam is not straight and the lower beam is crooked. Danzo breathed out a breath and had to admit that Natsuki often took the wrong approach when doing things, but the results were unexpectedly good. This time the third Hokage came back with Jiraiya, just to push Jiraiya out as a front. As a result, even before the facade was established, it was full of stigma. Jiraiya's reputation is so bad that he can no longer be a frontman, at least not now. When Danzo was angry, he felt pain in his right eye. He couldn't find a spare Sharingan. He didn't know how long this Sharingan could last. Ever since the Uchiha gave birth to the freak Natsuki, he had been defeated one after another, and Sarutobi Hiruzen had also been disgraced. There were still people in the security team who could operate it before, but now there is only a mess left. Danzo breathed out. You choose a capable person among the remaining members of the security team to temporarily replace you. The roots need to be dormant for a while. Once they absorb enough nutrients, they will definitely break out of the ground again. Nakamura Kanzuya nodded firmly, yes. Danzo felt agitated. The third Hokage has issued several orders, stating that this place must be evacuated within these 3 days. Although the roots are nominally disbanded, the roots will still be loyal to him. However, his losses were also very heavy. In terms of funds, equipment, and the support of some ninja clan, they were all cut off. After all, the roots have been openly cancelled by the Hokage. Danzo looked at the skylight, and the bright white light shone in from the outside, making his face even darker. I will be back. Although she hates Xiaomu so much, but the third generation still fulfilled his promise to Natsuki and disbanded the roots. When the third generation announced the official letter, he and Danzo had an open break. Danzo accused the third Hokage of secretly taking away his root members. The third generation condemned Danzo for his evil intentions and the idea of killing Kakashi's Sharingan. He was crazy and ordered the removal of the root members. Danzo now has no official position, and the Shimura family can only shrink down and act like quails under the power of the third Hokage. No one in the ninja clan supports Danzo, and Danzo has almost no popularity among passers-by. The situation was stronger than the people. Danzo could only watch helplessly, and the entire route was completely cleaned by the ANBU. There were even some expensive equipment that couldn't be moved, but they were all taken over by the Umbu. Danzo, who has a problem with his right eye, can only grit his teeth and send away his roots in order to make a comeback. Ding. Congratulations to the host for significantly changing Shimura Danzo's life trajectory. Congratulations to the host for getting the art of Izanagi X1. It seems that the disbandment of the Root Club is a big break for Danzo, although there are still many old troops who are loyal to him. However, this kind of heavy blow can make Danzo calm down for a while. Enough for the Uchiha to get through this difficult period. There's only one person left to deal with now, and that's Jiraiya. During the half-month period when Konoha was in turmoil, Jiraiya was imprisoned and Danzo's roots were removed. Regarding the previous Hinata incident, the third Hokage issued a diplomatic message to Kirigakure, but Kirigakure didn't react at all, and even the entire Kingdom of Water was sealed off. Because of the long journey, the relationship between Kirigakure and Konoha was not good in the past, and the matter ended up being nothing. Time passed, and when the public opinion subsided, Jiraiya was also released from the police detention room, and it was Hisashi who released him personally. Jiraiya-sama, your detention time has come. Jiraiya scratched his head. Hisashi, why did you come here in person? Hisashi behaved a little distantly, with a business-like attitude. Jiraiya-sama, the police force is now under our control. If something like this happens again, we, the Hyuga clan, will be very troubled. Jiraiya blushed and said with a sneer, don't worry Hisashi, it won't happen anymore. Hisashi didn't say anything more, he just sent Jiraiya out the door and left. Jiraiya came out of the guard team. The sun was shining down, and he felt a sense of relief. He hadn't been exposed to the sun for a long time. However, I haven't bathed in more than 10 days and it stinks. I need to relax. The bathtub last time was good. Deciding to pay attention, Jiraiya walked along the road towards Konoha's commercial street, but people still have memories of what happened to him half a month ago. He didn't change his attire, and the word gray on his head and red clothes and white hair made others recognize him at a glance. The women screamed and ran away, while the men stopped and whispered. Look, that's Jiraiya. He must be the voyeur who enjoys peeping into the bath every day. I heard that he also spied on Tsunadeheim and was almost beaten to death. This is one of the three ninjas, TSK. Hey, not only that, he is also the apprentice of the third Hokage. I heard that Jiraiya has been lustful since he was a child. This kind of thing has happened before, but because of the relationship between the three generations, it was settled in the end. I asked why he has never been caught peeping. It turns out there is a background. The surrounding sounds were not loud, but with Jiraiya's strength, how could he not hear it? There were also many people holding a leaflet in their hands, comparing it with Jiraiya repeatedly. Jiraiya felt hairy all over and quickly grabbed a leaflet, which clearly recorded Jiraiya's identity and his various affairs. There are also speculations about what things he did in the past but ended up being ignored, and who was behind it. Incidentally, he also focused on depicting the objects he likes to spy on in his little pornographic books. Who would want the female of their family to be drawn in a pornographic book, so the females would be scared to death when they saw Jiraiya, and they would spit out anything the male said. Jiraiya was so angry that he used the teleportation technique to run all the way. On the road, he met Hyuga Yuto, who was handing out leaflets everywhere. Jiraiya was very angry. What were they writing on the flyers? When did he draw the women he saw into the album? He was just collecting materials. Collect materials. He didn't like peeping since he was a child. He didn't understand anything when he was a child. He only likes it when he grows up. You brat. Who asked you to post this? Jiraiya had a majestic voice, and his white hair was spread out, but Hyuga Yugi was not afraid of him. Not only did Natsuki-sama support him, but Hisashi-sama also gave him a reward. This was in Konoha, and Jiraiya couldn't do anything. Hyuga Yuto puffed up his chest and said, "Hello, Jiraiya-sama." Natsuki-sama said that in order to prevent the women of Konoha villagers from being victimized again, leaflets were specially made and distributed today to avoid forgetting your deeds and avoiding contact with you. Avoid victimization. Specially made. Distributed today. Jiraiya was furious. This Uchiha Natsuki wanted to completely make him stink, right? Hyuga Yuto felt a little guilty, but he saw many villagers around him looking at him, so he stood straight in place. Jiraiya-sama, please don't disturb my work. Saying this, Hyuga Yuto took the flyer and bypassed Jiraiya, preparing to go farther away to distribute it. Uchiha Natsuki. Jiraiya turned back and grabbed the flyer, then roared and rushed towards the Uchiha clan. Chapter 49. Try it out. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uchiha clan. When Jiraiya came over, the door to the Uchiha clan was already open, and Natsuki greeted Jiraiya at the door with a smile. Hey, Master Jiraiya, you are here. I have been waiting for you for a long time. Jiraiya felt like a head of cold water was pouring down from his head. How long will he be waiting? Did Natsuki provoke me on purpose? Guessing in his mind, Jiraiya narrowed his eyes. Uchiha Natsuki, did you know I would come? Tsukiyomi nodded. I was just afraid that you wouldn't come, so I proudly asked someone to hand out flyers to lure you here. Jiraiya no longer dared to underestimate Natsuki, and just said in a deep voice, why are you targeting me? Tsukiyomi shook his hand. Oh, how can you say it's targeted? Everything I said is true. You. Just as Jiraiya was about to speak, Natsuki's face changed. He said coldly, can't you bear this? Compared to the grievances we Uchiha have suffered over the years, this is not even 1%. During the Nine-Tails Rebellion, you were out on a mission, but you didn't come back. We Uchiha even evacuated the villagers, but they were all hated. Why did you come back and nothing happened? Isn't it just because you have a third-generation teacher? Otherwise, why didn't anyone say that you, Jiraiya, deliberately didn't come back during the Nine-Tails Rebellion? Jiraiya let out a breath, and then he couldn't laugh or cry. You hate me because of this. Is there something wrong with your brain? Natsuki rolled his eyes. You are overthinking. I just want to tell you that we Uchiha moved away from Konoha village because we no longer want to have anything to do with you. Every time we do something, we get scolded when we do it wrong, and we get scolded when we do it right. We Uchiha are tired and don't want to get involved in this anymore. We have returned all the rights of Konoha to you. We have no interest in the position of Hokage. Please don't test us again. Jiraiya didn't expect Natsuki to be so straightforward. He scratched his head and said, then just say no, you have to do it to me. Xiaomu spread his hands, I didn't set a trap. Didn't you get caught because you peeped yourself? How can you blame me? Jiraiya's face turned blue and white, and finally he snorted heavily. He decided to complete the task entrusted to him by the third generation. I heard that Uchiha Susanoo is unparalleled in power. I wonder if we can compare with each other. Xiaomu did not decline or refuse. I also heard that the Toad Immortal is roaming the battlefield, and I want to learn from him today. Come to our training ground. Natsuki walked all the way to the training ground. He had long known that there would be a battle with Jiraiya. Empty all the Uchiha in the clan area, there was no one coming and going. Natsuki and Jiraiya stood still. Natsuki raised his finger first, a seal of opposition was formed. Jiraiya also changed his expression and formed a seal of opposition. Xiaomu was the first to attack, raising his hand to form a seal, and a huge fireball came towards his face. People followed. Jiraiya put his hands together, ninja technique. Needle Jizo. Jiraiya's white hair grew long and curled up to block the flames. The hand seal was changed to the technique of messing up the lion's hair. The white hair stretched and swept forward. Natsuki casually took out a kunai to block, but it made a metallic sound of choking. Natsuki threw a kunai and was kicked away by Jiraiya. Natsuki rushed forward and collided with Jiraiya. Bump! The powerful and heavy kick was blocked by Jiraiya's arms. Jiraiya rubbed his feet back and raised his arms. Natsuki took advantage of the situation and flew back. While in the air, Natsuki threw the shuriken. Whoosh, whoosh. The continuous throwing caused the shurikens to collide with each other, blocking Jiraiya's hiding space from different directions. Jiraiya's eyes narrowed. Uchiha-style throwing technique. Psychic art. Oh, the purple toad Jian appeared on the field. He took out the shield on his back and instantly covered Jiraiya and him. Natsuki threw out the shuriken and formed seals with his hands. Fire escape. Impatience flower claws are red. The flames attached to the flying shurikens, causing the shurikens to be mixed with scorching heat and fly towards Togaken like impatience flowers scattered all over the sky. Toad Takra jumped up and danced like a phantom, barely blocking the burning shuriken. Jiraiya sprang out, holding a blue chakra light ball in his hand. Rasengan. Natsuki dwarfed and crashed into Jiraiya's chest, but was blocked by white hair. Natsuki aimed the kunai straight at Jiraiya's jaw. If Jiraiya's Rasengan hits him, the shuriken will also be inserted into his jaw, so Jiraiya lowered his body and kicked Natsuki, sending him flying away. At this time, the steel fork in Toad Takara's hand was full of cuts due to the huge power of the shuriken, and the shield on Toad Takara's back also had many wounds. I'm so stupid. It disappeared with a bang. When Natsuki was kicked away, Jiraiya opened his mouth and spat out, fire release, flame bullet. The raging flames hit Xiaomu directly. Bang. Ah. There was a crow call, and Xiaomu turned into countless crows, and his figure disappeared among them. Countless crows flew towards Jiraiya. Jiraiya formed a seal with his hands. Psychic art. Bang. A green toad rushed out of the smoke with two swords in hand, waving them. One by one, the crows turned into smoke and disappeared. Natsuki emerged from the smoke. Fire escape, dragon fire technique. Poof! Violent flames spurted out from Xiaomu's mouth. The moment Xiaomu landed, he found that his feet were weak. Opposite him, Jiraiya was sprayed with dragon fire and turned into a ball of soil, and the real Jiraiya was behind him, launching the yellow spring marsh technique. Natsuki's eyes turned kaleidoscope. Susanoo. Boom! The first level Susanoo projected directly. Xiaomu broke away from the Huangquan marsh and crawled out of it. A stream of oil had sprayed on Susanoo's body. Fire escape, big flame bullet. The flames ignited the oil on Natsuki Susanoo's body. Natsuki instantly cancelled Susanoo, and his figure emerged from the gap. Xiaomu retreated instantly and made a gesture. Admit defeat. Natsuki looked a little tired, looking like he was severely depleted of chakra. Jiraiya also dismissed the Odama Rasengan in his hand, with a little dissatisfaction on his face. Can't your Susanoo become bigger? Natsuki sat down on the ground in a disgraceful manner. I don't have that much chakra. Zilai also narrowed his eyes slightly. Xiaomu had just used several techniques in succession, among which the crow clone and dragon fire techniques consumed a lot of money. The chakra consumption must be huge. In addition to chakra, Susanoo also consumes eye power. Xiaomu probably doesn't have much chakra. Jiraiya estimated in his mind that Natsuki probably had some tricks up his sleeve, and he didn't use sage mode. If he doesn't hold back, he should be able to win. Susanoo has great demands on the amount of chakra. If he uses all his strength, he can only last for a short time. Jiraiya thought and walked towards Natsuki. Natsuki stood up and made a seal of reconciliation, and Jiraiya also made a seal with Natsuki. Then Xiaomu lay on the ground in a very shapeless manner. If you can change your habit of peeping into women's baths, maybe we can still be friends. Xiaomu held his head in his hands and lay leisurely on the ground. His eyes looked at Jiraiya. Now Jiraiya is still very lustful, lazy, unfocused, and has no sense of responsibility. If he was serious about catching Orochimaru, he probably wouldn't be able to escape, at least he wouldn't stay in one place for that long. Today, Natsuki and Jiraiya tried their hand at each other to test their abilities, which was different from the battle with Shisui and the others in the dream. Jiraiya's attacks are open and closed, and in many cases, he can only fight with ninjutsu, not as delicate as Uchiha, and my combat handling is indeed not precise enough. Facts have proved that even though he is pretending, in a shadow-level battle, once he encounters a Chatanla player, he is very likely to lose unless he fights. Quickly, Natsuki knew that Jiraiya didn't even activate the Sage mode, nor did he summon the two toads, but in a life-and-death fight, Natsuki would definitely activate the second flesh and blood form at the first opportunity, or the higher form of Susanoo. Although Natsuki has not awakened the pupil technique, it does not prevent him from attacking Susanoo first. My own chakra is enough for ordinary jutsu, but Susanoo is a big mana hog, so I have to think of a way to do it. Jiraiya fought with Natsuki, and he could feel that Natsuki's fighting style and his fighting emotions didn't look like a careerist at all. In my heart, I have no special dislike for Xiaomu. Jiraiya was a little tired after a battle, so he sat cross-legged on the ground. What do you think of Konoha village? Xiaomu shook his head. It's none of my business. Whether Konoha is good or bad has nothing to do with me. Don't ask me questions like this. As long as no one comes to mess with us Uchiha, we just want to develop business and make life better for our people. After all, we Uchiha still have a lot of civilians. Xiaomu had enough rest, stood up and walked to the clan area. I still have something to do, so I won't send it off. Jiraiya frowned and looked at Natsuki's back, not knowing what he was thinking. Chapter 50 Jiraiya is gone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hokage building. Old man. Jiraiya turned in from the window. The third generation put down the documents in his hands. How is Natsuki? Jiraiya said, although I won, I feel that he has something to hold back. Sandai took a puff of cigarette calmly. What about you? Jiraiya shook his head. I didn't use sage mode. Sandai raised his eyebrows. Oh. Then he doesn't use Susanoo. It was used, but for a short time. It seems that Susanoo consumes a very large amount of chakra and cannot last long. Sandai took a few steps back and forth and murmured, it can't last, it can't last. Well, thank you for your hard work. Jiraiya. Third Hokage showed a relaxed expression. Jiraiya shook his head. After a competition with Natsuki, I don't think Natsuki is a careerist. Maybe he really wants to guard Uchiha's territory. Really? If you don't judge a person by his own feelings, the third generation will definitely curse him, but Jiraiya is different. Jiraiya also practices in Yamu Mountain and receives natural energy for a long time. You can marvelously detect a person's character and tendencies, therefore, Jiraiya's words are of great reference value. Moreover, even the third Hokage himself has not fully realized how powerful Jiraiya's sage mode is. Since Jiraiya said there is no problem, those three generations were much more relaxed. After all, Uchiha Natsuki has always been an unstable factor, often making unexpected moves. This time, Jiraiya's reputation has been ruined. I have to say that it will suit Jiraiya's wishes. After all, The third generation can no longer force Jiraiya to take over as Hokage, which village's shadow can be a voyeur. Speaking of which, since Orochimaru is not the murderer who stole the baby, then... Old man, I'm ready to leave. Jiraiya interrupted the third Hokage's thoughts. Sandai frowned. You're leaving in such a short time. Jiraiya spread his hands. It seems that there is nothing wrong with staying in the village. You have disbanded the roots, and Uchiha has given back his rights. I tried Natsuki and he is not a careerist. Why should I keep it? The third generation looked at Jiraiya with suspicious eyes. Are you afraid that you can't go to the bathhouse to peep, so you are in a hurry to leave? Jiraiya's head was filled with dark clues. That's absolutely not the case. I just received news from Orochimaru and wanted to check it out. Really? The voice of the third generation had a different emotion, but Jiraiya didn't hear it and just nodded seriously. It's true. I received clues that there are traces of Orochimaru in the northern Tian country. Sandai pondered for a moment, then go ahead, there's no need to catch him back. Jiraiya looked at the third Hokage in surprise. What did you say, old man? The third Hokage looked a little confused and picked up his pipe and took a puff. After a long time, he sighed, it doesn't matter whether he comes back or not. Just help me bring this message to him. Old man. Jiraiya was quite moved. He knew what the third generation meant by this sentence. It means that the third generation will not pursue the past things. Moreover, the third generation still regarded Orochimaru as his disciple. The third generation waved his hand a little tiredly. Natsuki brought the news that the kidnapping of the baby was Danzo's work, and Orochimaru was at best collaborating on experiments. Although I don't know where Shimu got the news, there is no need for him to lie. Jiraiya's eyes lit up. To be honest, his friendship with Orochimaru was not shallow, otherwise he wouldn't have been working as a foreigner. He talked about chasing Orochimaru, but he was actually traveling outside. If the kidnapping of the baby hadn't been so bad back then, Jiraiya wouldn't have taken this job. Now he actually said that the mastermind of the kidnapping was Danzo. Jiraiya suddenly felt relieved. When it comes to the relationship between the third generation and Orochimaru, Jiraiya is also clear about it. The third generation originally intended Orochimaru to be the fourth Hokage, but Orochimaru was too powerful and extremely independent in his thinking. He would not accept anyone's control at all. None of the elders in Konoha agreed. The third generation also wanted to temper Orochimaru's temperament, and finally chose Namikaze Minato, a civilian representative. After all, Namikaze Minato had no backstage and was easier to control. Unexpectedly, Orochimaru was too arrogant and couldn't stand being provoked, so he went directly into the darkness to pursue his truth. In the end, a baby kidnapping case broke out, and Orochimaru never explained it from beginning to end. In the end, Orochimaru's departure was not so much because of his position as Hokage, but rather because he couldn't stand it, and it was the third generation's distrust of him, and the so-called Konoha collapse plan that Orochimaru came up with in the end was just like a child showing off his achievements to adults. Even when he finally killed the third Hokage, he shed tears himself. Jiraiya had dealt with Natsuki, and although the process was not pleasant, Jiraiya also believed the information. Okay, I will pass the message to Orochimaru. Jiraiya's casual expression also changed slightly. The third Hokage waved his hand. Go and see Naruto before you leave. That kid is in ninja school now. Jiraiya nodded and disappeared into the office. Jiraiya came out of the Hokage building and deliberately used the transformation technique to avoid commotion, became an ordinary Konoha ninja. It was afternoon and the school had not ended yet. Jiraiya found a suitable location after greeting the ANBU nearby who were monitoring Naruto. Jiraiya looked over and saw Naruto, who had fluffy yellow hair and a few beards on his face, training on the playground with a serious look on his face. They started with running, but also had to cross obstacles, jump into pits, and cross ropes. These are the most basic physical fitness and body coordination training. Irika leads the team at the front. Irika spoke as he ran. After you graduate, you will encounter countless terrain obstacles when performing tasks, so you must adapt to various terrains now. The fastest student behind him is Sasuke. He has a very serious face and he will not be careless about any training. from jumping into pits to crossing ropes, Sasuke's movements were very standardized and natural. You could tell at a glance that he had received similar training at home, but the other people behind were different. Children from all the major ninja clans were running ahead. Children from other civilian families are still a little overwhelmed by this kind of training. There are many children who fall into the pit and cry loudly, fall off the rope, and are unable to get up after falling for a long time. Of course, there are also children from the great ninja clan who run slower, such as Akimichi Choji. The most outstanding among the civilians is Naruto. Naruto takes this kind of training very seriously. He always remembers Natsuki-senpai's expectations for him, therefore, even though Naruto often fell into pits or fell off ropes, he quickly got up and worked hard to catch up with Sasuke and his party. After the last 3 laps, only half of the students had finished, but Naruto just relied on his perseverance and ran to the end of the first echelon, finishing in 9th place. Jiraiya, who was far away in the tree, was very pleased to see it. Naruto is really hardworking and very sensible. At the end of the training, Mr. Iruka announced the rankings and then left for free activities. Iruka came to Naruto. Naruto, are you okay? Naruto worked very hard just now, so he fell many times and had many bruises on his body. Naruto raised his head to Iruka and showed a big smile. Iruka-sensei, I'm fine. They're just minor injuries. Iruka patted Naruto on the shoulder with a gentle face. Naruto, you performed very well this time, but be careful next time and don't be so reckless. Naruto gave a thumbs up. Don't worry, Mr. Iruka, I will definitely get first place in the next training. Naruto, come over and play games. A voice came from afar. Iruka-sensei, I'm going to play. Iruka's next words were stuck in his throat. Seeing that Naruto was indeed fine, Iruka could only shake his head helplessly. Let's play catch the bad guy. Then I'll be a guard. I also want to be a guard. Then I can only pretend to be Jiraiya, and you come and catch me. Jiraiya, who was standing on the tree, almost fell down. I greeted Natsuki heartily and left the ninja school. He couldn't stay in Konoha for even half a minute.